hype. There are two major walls here when you are building software with AI. The first one is the software evolution. So everything you do after building the first MVP or iteration, you don't understand the code structure. So AI agents will be, you will rely on AI agents, or you need to navigate the spaghetti code. If you rely on AI agents, there is this thing called context. At the moment that you make your application bigger and bigger, they will start collapsing their context, and then they are all the time trying to free up the context and then starting back again, and they lose all the memory. They start becoming very inconsistent, and they start doing things like it's called AI slop, even more than they can do in the first iteration. And yeah, you need to review the spaghetti code or even your AI agent, which is even more risky. And then there will be a point where you are thinking, wow, this would be actually much faster if I fix this, if I would have implemented this, but maybe that's not the case. And then on the other side, you have the failures that you get on production. So you cannot fix them yourself if you don't know the code. You have an AI dependency. When it works, because it can actually fix bugs, I've seen it doing it. Many times it's adding more technical debt because it's trying to introduce a workaround instead of fixing it the proper way. So there is, again, there can be a lot of AI slop there. So I cannot call my SolarAI application production ready because then I would be selling snake oil as well. So where is the AI bubble? Well, of course, there are people who are investing money in these AI startups and products and probably they want money in return at some point, or they are very optimistic. I would say marketing is making all this look more capable than it actually is. And it's also painting it more fun than it actually is if you want to get productive results. So AI and the models are good at when they have been trained with a lot of examples about a given solution. So, for example, if you try to make an AI coding agent come up with an example to specify or to draw diagrams or to create a documentation, and you don't say what you want to produce, I've always got the authentication example. They always go to the user authentication because probably these models have been trained with a lot of user authentication data. And this is good and bad. It's actually good because if you want to implement user authentication, then you don't need to write all the boilerplate yourself. If there is a model that can write this for you in whatever programming language, and it's going to be 80% accurate, and you are just reviewing it. But then these models are also good at having a task that has as small a scope as possible. If you give a very complex problem and that complex problem is not a very common problem, then the results are going to be much worse. So what these AI coding agents are doing are kind of copy pasting with some logic behind it, because this is at the end some pattern matching. So it's like I would go to a Stack Overflow in the good old days, and then I start copy pasting code to create my application, and then of course I would have exactly the same problems that I would have with the Stack Overflow. It's completely inconsistent. What these models are not that good at, even though they are trying to let's say simulate it, or they are becoming a bit better with time, but not that good, is at reasoning, at trying to make sense out of a big problem. Same as system design. So if you pass a business problem and you say, okay, let's model a system that solves this business problem. Again, if it's not very well known, yeah, it's not a good idea to delegate this task to an AI model.